Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. Special guest, the host of the Edge podcast and Emmy Award-winning voice of American Idol. It's Mark Thompson. Hi, Mark Thompson.
It is an honor to be here, Jimmy, and to be in the nerve center of the Jimmy Dore Show.
Yes.
Long-time listener and first-time
No, you've been.
Yeah, first-time-ish.
Ish. You've been on the show before. Also with us, the miserable liberal, Steph Zamorano. Hi, miserable.
I'm miserable.
You get those T-shirts, too, by the way. See that T-shirt Steph has on, miserable liberal? You can get it right down below. Right down below. Please help support the show because they're demonetizing us like crazy. Guess what? We're talking about the environment today because Mark Thompson is a big environmentalist. So this is kind of a sad story. Tide of plastic rubbish discovered floating off idyllic Caribbean island coastline. You want to see what that looks like?
That's just gross, huh?
Idyllic Caribbean. Idyllic. And if you go underneath the water, it's so thick it blocks out the sun. And then here's some more. Well, here's what I don't get about the. Well, let's finish this. The pollution is harming more than 600 species worldwide amid what many are now regarding as the sixth mass extinction of life on Earth. They say we're living through that right now.
Yeah, there's a great movie called Racing Extinction that you can, I'm sure, see on Netflix or whatever. And you should. They literally show you the extinction. There's a bird that goes extinct while the shoot's going on. It's
no kidding.
Yeah, this is a remarkable film. But anyway, to your point, I mean, what you're talking about is obviously hastening the extinction of tons of species.
I mean, there's a little bit more. It says more than 8 million tons of plastic goes into the ocean every year, and it is estimated there will be more of it than fish by 2050. So there'll be more plastic in the ocean than there is fish in the ocean. I don't understand why plastic goes in the ocean. Is that all coming off of cruise ships and tankers? Why is it going in the ocean? I don't know if you've been on a plane over the United States, but there's a big enough hole there to stick all the plastic. I don't know why it has to go in the ocean. Why does that have to go in the ocean, you think?
It does wash out to the ocean, though, from all the different places that have waterways that flow ultimately into the ocean. Those plastic straws that you get, I always ask, please no straw, please no straw. And it's like mindlessly, you always get a plastic straw.
You always get a plastic straw.
And those straws do tremendous damage as they end up in the ocean because they end up in, the esophagus, whatever the plural of esophagus is, the esophaguses of turtles and of other sea creatures. And then the plastic, of course, doesn't break down. Like those pictures really tell the story. You can check in with that picture in 15 years, and you won't see tremendous breakdown of that plastic. And the plastic that does break down through the tidal flow and all the rest, it's pulverized into small pieces, microscopic pieces sometimes. Those pieces end up in fish. And now they estimate that most of the fish that they pull out of the ocean has plastic in it.
Really?
Yeah, it's.
So if I'm eating sushi, I'm eating plastic. Is that what you're saying to
that?
me?
Yeah, that there is plastic in that fish.
So that's just, again, well, let me just one more thing. It says, if it is though our seas now contain, it is thought our seas now contain 51 trillion microplastic particles, 500 times more than stars in our galaxy. Wow. Taken off, these pictures were taken off the Honduran island of Rotan. The pictures show plastic cutlery, bags, bottles, wrapping floating among seaweed. Caroline Power, who lives on Rotan, if that's how you pronounce it, which is just 12 miles long and 3 miles wide, shared the images on social media to raise awareness of the problem. So that was a woman, Carol Power, took those pictures, took this picture, and this picture. That picture is stunning. That is a stunning picture.
And there are 5 of those huge gyres, Jimmy, that are all around the world. And you can maybe look to see how, but they're enormous. There's, they're virtually continents.
So how do they? And yeah, I heard there is one in between the United States and Hawaii that's about as big as Texas.
Right, and that's what. And by the way, below the surface, I'm so glad that you showed that picture from below the surface because what we're seeing is just a fraction
Right.
of what's actually there. It's below the surface, and these gyres, huge amounts of them, like an iceberg, below the surface of the ocean.
So why do they cling together? Why does the plastic cling together? Isn't
It's
that
the
weird?
flow. I think it's just the flow of the current that has
keeps
brought
it
them together.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
I remember when I was a kid, I think that was the big time where McDonald's decided to go with styrofoam. Remember? That was the big
Yeah.
thing. Like, oh no, we're
it
not
kept stuff hot.
Yeah, we're not going to have any kind of a card stock with our that's going to keep your sandwiches warm. We're going to go with styrofoam.
Right.
And and that what did that take, like 40 years for that to go out of style?
Yeah, for them to figure out, hey, styrofoam's not good.
Right. And I have to say, actually, Mark, I stopped using straws that were plastic because of you.
I use a straw, but it's a metal straw.
There you go.
These are
What the?
And now paper straws are becoming, I mean, slowly more in vogue. I mean, of course, the thing about plastic is it's super cheap and you know, bam, 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 and it's durable. That's the big thing. You know, the paper stuff you can
rips.
But it's just so much damage. Yeah.
And I also, sorry to interrupt, I also recall my grandmother, she would always take her shopping cart. She would always have her own bags when we'd go to a supermarket. All my life, she always had her own bags. And, you know, I remember like, you know, why are you doing that? Why are you? And, you know, now I have my own bags. And it's, I just think like having a story like this reminds you of how much we're using and disposing of. And, you know, I also know you're not a fan of water bottles.
No, I'm so glad I came to the Jimmy Dore show and I got a glass of water in a glass, because this thing where we use bottles is insane. We live in one of the many countries in the world where the water is perfectly good. For the most part. I mean, obviously, we have, you know...
I'm nervous about drinking water out of the tap now. I used to never be nervous. I'm nervous now, especially after what happened in Flint. And then they're starting to find out there's lead in lots of places. And our pipes, I'm sure, here in Pasadena are really old.
Yeah.
And we have no infrastructure. So
I'm ready to accept that might be true, but just quickly, what you're drinking in those plastic bottles is arguably worse.
Why?
Because you're getting all those polymers, and it's been in the sun, and all that plastic is leaching out into the water. You can't tell me, everybody watching, that you haven't had a swig of water and tasted the plastic. I taste it all the time.
Oh.
It tastes like plastic.
Well, I do get the can. See, I like the canned water. And so what I do with this after I'm done is I crush it. And then I put it in my recyclables, and then someone comes around right before the garbage truck, goes through my thing, takes them out, and goes and recycles them.
There you go. Maybe I should do that.
So that is what's happening, by the way. So we have people who come by and take out all your cans and put them in their own cans, and they take them and they make money off it.
But those plastic bottles are, you know.
Yeah, so that's why I don't do plastic bottles. We do the cans just for that reason. That's a great thing.
We stopped using plastic bottles because of you.
See, look at that.
Really
How do
cool.
you like
You
that?
have that influence,
That's
and
very
you know,
nice. Cheers. Cheers to that.
All
Where's
right.
my camera? Is it up there?
Yes, there you
Cheers.
go.
Where's my camera? Right there? Yeah, cheers.
All right. I don't understand why they can't invent some kind of a sweeper to come with a big barge and just start loading that shit on. Like, I guess because there's no government that's going to do that. I guess you got to get a government to do that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I bet you could clean that up from tops a couple $1 million. You could probably clean that up.
You think?
I don't know, billion? How about $1 billion?
Are we negotiating right now, or it has to be about money, right? If it doesn't make any sense, it's about money. And I think in this case, the fact is it's an expensive enterprise, and who's going to foot the bill? And we treat the ocean like it's a dumping
Garbage
ground, right?
can,
like
yeah.
it's a-
what could possibly go wrong with that practice?
Didn't, yeah. And you know that cruise ships are throwing shit in the ocean all the time.
You know, it's funny. I've asked about that, and they really push out the sustainability thing, but you think they're lying to me.
I think they're lying.
That might be worth an
The
investigation.
cruise ship industry is not one of the, you know, they exploit their workers, right? You know that when you go on a cruise ship, you know, all those people are from Indonesia. And I don't know if you've ever been where they sleep. It's not fun. I have. I've been down there. I was a comedian on a shitty cruise ship. I won't say which one. I don't remember which one it was, but I remember I walked into where they were. I was like, God damn it, how do you live like this, right? They got 4 people in a room, stuff like that. They have this shared shower stuff. It's always dark because it's below the sea.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But again, it's one of those things where, American dollars are worth a lot where they're from. And so.
And this is an awful thing to contemplate, but it's probably better than the option that they had by remaining home.
Yeah, well, I'm sure.
Right.
I'm sure that's why they're doing it.
I just want to also mention that I just bought a hose, okay? And it was wrapped, a regular garden hose.
Right.
It was wrapped in
plastic.
about 4 pieces of plastic and cardstock. And I just looked at it, it's a hose.
Why wrap it?
Yeah.
So there's...
Why not put a piece of twine around it? You got it rolled up. There you go. No, they have to put it in its own, like a box almost.
And how many times that we bought any kind of electronics for the studio?
Oh, my God.
And it has about,
like Apple.
Yes.
Apple has to overpackage things. It's like the package is part of the thing. I'm just throwing it out, you guys.
Yeah.
Apple's really proud of their designs of their packages. You know what I'm talking about? Do you use Apple products?
Oh yeah, of course. You pull the little slider open. It opens like a little sock drawer or something, and then you remove the owner's manual for the power. Hey, dude, I got the owner's manual. I don't need the power, right?
Yeah.
You plug it into the bottom of the phone, and it's being powered.
So this is happening, and everyone says Trump is crazy. He's the one who's crazy, not humanity. This is humanity. This is collective unconscious. This is collective craziness. This is insanity, collective. Everybody goes, what are you going to do? Let's move on with our day, right? Nobody goes, hey, we need to stop everything and fix this. Same thing with climate change. So,
but it's funny, if you had the kind of initiative that you have on climate change, and I understand now this country is disconnecting from that initiative, but if you had the kind of initiative that the countries in unison showed with climate change to address this problem, then you have a little bit of what you're talking about, which is, hey, the United States is going to take the lead in beginning the process of cleaning up some of the plastic. And we know it's only a fraction of the plastic in the ocean, but it's a sign of what we need to do and what other nations should join us in doing. If you had that, maybe you would begin the process of at least thinking about this stuff. And as you also put it, it wouldn't be expensive. I mean, relative to the other monies that are being spent on...
It's easier to clean up than oil spills, I'm going to guess, right? I mean, that's got to be it's actual physical things you could scoop up.
Right.
So you could literally put a net, on parts of it. I'm sure there's got to be, I'm sure it's a lot harder than just throwing a net out there, of course. But I'm just saying you could actually pick this stuff up, unlike oil, which you can't pick up.
It makes me think about the whole idea that the United States military is based everywhere in the world.
Right. We got 1,000 military bases.
Right. So how about along the way, in between wars, you skim the ocean for trash and make a better world for all of us?
It'd have to be, I'm sure it'd have to be a major undertaking with huge tankers.
If there was only a country who was able to do such a thing.
We can't even get helicopters to Puerto Rico because there's no money in it.
We can't even get clean water for Detroit.
We can't even get clean water in Flint. So that's the United States of America.
And somehow we vilified water protectors.
Yeah, water protectors are the assholes. Yeah, that's right. Oh, by the way, they're Russian now. That's the new thing. Yeah, the Daily Beast. We're going to talk about that. The Daily Beast did a story. The Russian water protectors are infiltrated. I mean, the water protectors in DAPL were infiltrated by Russia.
Well, and the way that they're
Rosa Parks too, I bet, was a Russian bot. Go ahead.
The way they're treated, the manner of their arrest, the manner of their detainment, the way they're charged, and environmental activists across the board are treated that way.
They're now called terrorists.
Exactly.
They're treating them as environmental terrorists.
And animal activists, same thing.
Yes.
Because you're attacking the
business.
institution of money, right?
Right, money. Yeah. In fact, they passed laws that, they used to do when I was a kid. They used to do a lot of undercover reporting where they would expose the horrible practices of, supermarkets or, meat processing plants and stuff like that. They would do undercover. And they passed laws. You can't do that. It's illegal to do that. It's illegal to report on malfeasance inside corporations now in America. So, and Trump's crazy, but Trump's the crazy one. We're not completely corrupt in this country. There's law and order for poor people and nothing for the rest of for rich people. And that's where we live in. And that's how you get this. Okay, well, I wish I had something better to say, but thanks to Caroline Power for taking these pictures and raising awareness of how come I've never seen a picture like that before?
Yeah.
It took a woman from off a little Caribbean island to take a picture.
That's right, Jimmy. It took a woman.
Yes, it did. So thank you, Caroline Power. I appreciate it. And, to pretend that we've suddenly taken a track in this country away from working on climate change. It was all lip service before. The Paris Agreement still
wasn't
the
enforceable.
Copenhagen. It was less than the Copenhagen Agreement. The Copenhagen Agreement would still lead to disaster. So the Paris one was less strict than that. We're still on a path to disaster. That was window dressing around climate change, the Paris Accord. It was better than nothing. It's better than nothing for sure. But let's remember, Barack Obama's official energy policy for 8 years was all the above. And that's why we now, are we the world's biggest oil producer besides Saudi Arabia? I mean, it's amazing. It's crazy. And all that. So let's stop pretending this is just one guy. This is these are industries. This is the fossil fuel industry. This is the plastics industry. This is every kind of industry that increases global climate change and global warming.
Although I will say that this administration has been aggressive about doing two things. First, dry cleaning climate change and references to it, and science committees that lead to conclusions related to climate change. Dry cleaning that stuff off the government websites, off of any place where that information can be disseminated. And they've been aggressive as well about the exploitation of mineral and oil in this country in places that would have been unthinkable before. I'm talking about national parks.
How about the Arctic when Obama opened up the Arctic to drilling? Remember that?
No, a fair point. That's right. And there's going to be more of that as climate change makes those areas more accessible.
Because climate change is happening so rapidly that the ice is melting in the Arctic, which means we can go drill for oil there. That's literally what they think. And Obama said, do it. Breaking news, I've just been handed this video clip about ocean cleanup. Get this, maybe some good news. My idea.
Yeah, but how does it deal with wildlife?
Look at that. That's good news. Look at that.
Wow.
Look at this. In just 20 years, he says the plant could clean the largest collection of trash in the Pacific Ocean in just 20 years. I'm going to turn off the music. We'll just keep playing this. The massive cleanup project will begin in 2020. This is amazing. That's amazing. So that's great news. So just like I said, why can't they clean that stuff up? Well, it turns out a 22-year-old kid came up with an idea to do it. Why? Because I'm going to guess older people were busy making money. Right? That's turns out. So there you go. Wow. So so we end the segment on a positive note. Still doesn't mean keep using plastic. Stop using frickin' plastic, especially plastic straws.
Yeah, it's hard to avoid, but if you've got the option at all, avoid plastic.
Okay. All right. Well, good on that kid for doing that. So you can go to oceancleanup.com.
Ocean Cleanup. It's important. They're two different websites.
Oh.
TheOceanCleanup.com.
We're going to put a link underneath, theoceancleanup.com. Mark Thompson just corrected me on that. So you can help donate to that. Isn't that great? Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe.
Just as great.
The next live Jimmy Dore show is November 6th in Burbank, California, and November 12th in Portland, Oregon. Link for tickets right there.